The paralyzed girl had no intention of making a fuss and continued taking the medication her mother sent. After the woman left, she spat out the medication in her mouth to see what it really was. The child's name was Xiao. Her father had passed away early, and she relied on her mother for everything. Her terrifyingly high IQ had drawn God's jealousy. Since she was young, she had been able to barely maintain her life through medication. Her mother worked hard to earn money for her treatment, and she was very determined. She said she couldn't go to school, but with her exceptional intelligence, she was making great strides in mechanical research. By the age of a few, she already held several patents and had self-studied to take this year's college entrance examination. After that, she would be able to attend a top university for further studies, and they wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. She thought life would continue to get better like this. One day, the girl found her favorite food in the kitchen. Due to her diabetes, she discovered her medication in a bottle with her mother's name on it. Knowing that eating randomly in the kitchen could be deadly, she went to her mother to ask about her doubts. Her mother patiently explained that the pharmacy had written the name wrong. The girl didn't suspect anything and accepted this explanation, thinking no mother would harm her own daughter. Suddenly, Xiaomei remembered the medicine from yesterday and wanted to find out the truth. She used a homemade mechanical arm to take down the medicine. Just as she was about to open the door, the sound of a truck came from outside. She hurried downstairs to see if it was the university admission letter. Sure enough, she bumped into her mother, who immediately understood everything. With a helpless smile, she told her daughter that she would be the first to open the letter when it arrived. The child returned to her room feeling dejected and continued to examine the medicine from earlier. Suddenly, she noticed a bulging bubble on the label and tremblingly peeled it off. A terrifying thing happened. The label actually had her mother's name on it. As night fell, her mother brought the medicine again, but this time the girl didn't take it. She wanted to see what this medicine really was. While her mother was asleep, she wheeled herself down to the first floor to check the ingredients of the medicine. Strangely, the home's internet suddenly went out. The girl didn't have time to think much and hurried back to her room, completely unaware of a pair of eyes watching her intently from behind. The next morning, the mother and daughter happily had breakfast together. The mother casually asked her why she was on the computer last night. Just as Xiaomei was about to answer, she suddenly remembered something and casually said she wanted to check the news. The parent nodded at Zhang Yi. The mother went out to tidy up the flower bed. Mei took the opportunity to call the pharmacy and asked what the pills were for. Before she could even speak, the person on the other end kindly called out her mother's name. The child was so scared that she quickly hung up the phone and ran to the bedside to see her mother's reaction. Fortunately, her mother didn't notice anything unusual. After a long time, Mei decided to take a chance. She quickly took out her phone and dialed a number. Luckily, the other person happened to have a computer nearby. With their help, the child finally learned the true purpose of the medication. The case made her breathe a sigh of relief, thinking she had misunderstood her mother. But the other person's next words plunged her into despair. The pills were all red, while the capsules on the ground were green. She suddenly had a bad feeling. She couldn't understand why her biological mother would want to harm her. The next day, the girl cautiously asked her mother if she could take her to the movies, and her mother readily agreed. Early in the morning, the girl put the pills in her pocket and left the house with a heavy heart. On the way, she excused herself to go to the bathroom to avoid her mother's help. The clerk's next words struck her like a bolt of lightning, leaving her frozen in place, unable to move. In the moment, Xiaomei learned the truth. Her mother found her. The almost collapsing girl was embraced gently, as her mother continuously comforted her. With one hand, she secretly injected a sedative into her body. When the girl woke up again, she was lying in her own bed at home, and her mother was nowhere to be found. The dinner from the night before still had some warmth left. Unable to understand why her mother wanted to harm her, the girl realized she had to escape immediately. Her mother had locked the front door tightly before leaving, making it almost impossible to break out. It quickly got cold. After that, the yellow cloth, which looked plain, was first soaked with a large mouthful of water. Then, holding the capacitive pen, she climbed onto the roof. The paralysis of time caused her legs to ache intensely. Gritting her teeth, she continued moving forward and reached the window. She used the stylus to heat the glass, then sprayed cold water on it. According to the principle of the Goffey-Coux theorem, the glass shattered instantly. As soon as she came in, her asthma attacked. The only way to save her life was to crawl back to her room. The door wasn't too hard to open, and she managed to grab a chance to save her life. She had to leave before her mother returned and report to the nearest police station, or she would definitely lose her life. Meanwhile, her mother, who had just finished poisoning the food, was driving back. Hearing the sound of the car, she quickly hid in the nearby woods. After hiding, she noticed a delivery person on the other side. Suddenly, she had an idea and rushed her wheelchair into the middle of the road. The delivery guy is quick to react, but it seems like it's going to be a big ending. After learning about Xiaomei's situation, the delivery guy shows great sympathy and plans to take her to the police station to report the case. Just then, Xiaomei's mother arrives. She immediately tries to take Xiaomei away, but the delivery guy stops her. The mother tells the delivery guy that Xiaomei has paranoid delusions and is suspicious of others trying to harm her. She insists that he shouldn't believe her because she's a lunatic. The delivery guy says he can't tell who is lying and suggests they go to the police station together. The mother, unable to argue with him, pretends to agree and says she will go with them to the police station. Later, she secretly returns to the car. He was stabbed in the large vein and fell to the ground. Xiaomei was so scared that she fainted. When he woke up again, he found himself locked in his mother's bedroom. Even now, he didn't understand why his mother wanted to harm him. Inside a small box, he found a photo of himself as a child. The sticker on it revealed a pair of good legs. When he was a child, he could run. Why did his mother lie to him? Was he born disabled? Xiaomei continued to rummage through the box and found a death certificate. Strangely, it had his name on it. Xiaomei. Deceased. Age 2 hours and 11 minutes. No, that's not right. She was clearly alive and well, so why would there be a death certificate? Quickly, she found a newspaper in the box. It reported a newborn kidnapping case. May connected the dots and concluded that the child her mother gave birth to back then was not her. The baby had only lived for 2 hours before dying. The grieving mother couldn't bear the loss and began to harbor thoughts of revenge against society. When she saw the lively and energetic little May, she came up with an evil plan. The truth was finally revealed. Xiaomei was kidnapped by her mother, which explains why her mother wanted to make her disabled. At this moment, Xiaomei's brother's mother also returned. After learning that Xiaomei already knew the truth, she stopped pretending. She said that her purpose was to make Xiaomei unable to leave her. Then she went to the operating table and prepared a homemade neurotoxin to paralyze Xiaomei's entire body. It was a terrifying neurotoxin that could paralyze a person with just one injection. The woman in front of her wanted to inject it into her own daughter. This scared Xiaomei so much that she backed away and begged for mercy. She managed to hide in a nearby storage room and quickly locked the door. The small lock couldn't hold her mother back. She would eventually break in. Today, Xiaomei was doomed. In her utter despair, she found a bottle of pesticide in the storage room. With no other choice, she decided to take a desperate gamble. The moment her mother opened the door, she grabbed the bottle and started drinking it frantically. Now it was her mother's turn to panic. She only wanted Xiaomei to be paralyzed, not dead, so she sent her to the hospital. After several experts worked tirelessly for over 10 days, the first thing May did when she woke up was to frantically gesture at the nurse. The nurse was very clever. Knowing she couldn't speak, she handed her a pen and paper, allowing her to write down anything she needed to say. Just then, the alarm on the wall suddenly went off, indicating that someone in another ward needed help. The nurse had to rush over immediately. Seeing no one around her, May panicked. But what made her even more anxious was what happened next. Her mother had seized this opportunity and was already dismantling the equipment without caring about May's life or death. The nurse now took her home. May weakly sat in the wheelchair, wanting to ask the person next to her for help, but she couldn't say a word. She could only watch helplessly as her mother took her away. On the other side, the nurse, after discovering that Xiaomei had disappeared, immediately became anxious. Coupled with Xiaomei's note, she quickly guessed that her mother had forcibly taken her away. At this moment, Xiaomei's condition was such that she couldn't be discharged from the hospital. Otherwise, her life would be in danger. To prevent a tragedy, they closed all exits and sent security to provide support. They successfully stopped the mother and daughter. The mother, unwilling to give up, drew a gun to kill the security guard but was shot down by the guard. The era of this evil figure came to an end. May returned to freedom. Although she still couldn't leave the wheelchair, her legs gradually regained sensation. She was also very filial, visiting her mother in prison every day and bringing her delicious food. I must say, this ending is truly satisfying.